What's happening, sports fans? Christian Pedersen, Colton's in one of these directions. I think he's to my left usually. We welcome you back to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. The helmets and or pads and or they're on. Football has actually started. We are down to our second to last, almost borderline waste of time, stupid preview episode where we talk about positions. This one is defensive front seven. If you want to check out any of our other ones, you can find them on our YouTube page at SD Prep Insider. Colton, this one is interesting to me because I'm not going to say like it's where we're the lightest, but sometimes there's a disparity between where like the best of the big men are and the standard, like the rest of the bell curve. We tend not to have those like 6'3", 265-pound dudes who are on the, the DN rushers. Every single team, like we don't necessarily have that. So
yeah,
this is a mix of like Trey Edwards is better than everybody else, and here are the here are like the other cast of characters. Mentioning Trey Edwards, we can always start with him if you want, but who out of all of this do you want to, who and or where do you want to get started with our defensive front seven breakdown?
might as well just start with Trey Edwards, obviously, at the middle linebacker position. 4-star, if you don't know who he is by now, you're not paying attention. I feel like he's been the talk of the town for the past, 3 years. Committed to UCLA. He's just absolute general in the middle of the field for that defense. Stuffs the run. He's great in pass coverage. He's what you look for in a middle linebacker. Athletic. All can be.
He is one of the ones like I was talking about, like some sections that exists as the standard deviation. We don't have that at every single squad all the way across the lineup, but that makes it all the more special to go check out Trey. He's also one of those ones where like he gets that while still having the rest of that defense be pretty darn good. Like he manages to put up those major stats.
He gets his own.
Well, yeah. While not being the playmaker on every single play, because the rest of the defense gets their own too a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Modern Day is one of my highlight teams to talk about in Division I because they have jumped. They're going to be an open division team this year. With that's a whole nother video, a whole other topic, but it's nuts that Modern Day Catholic goes from Division IV champs like 4 years ago to open division contenders. It's pretty insane to see that. I want to talk about, and I've been trying to practice this name, and I'm not going to make it right, but I'm going to try. And that is Ratimana Bulabaluva from Army Navy Academy. What were you saying there?
No, yeah, I had him down too. He's insane.
You want to try it?
Ratumana Bulabualava. It's hard.
He is actually the returning sacks leader from the San Diego CIF section last year. 18 sacks last season in only his sophomore year.
As a sophomore.
No, freshman year. Yeah, he's a class of 2024. So yeah, no, that was his sophomore year. Yeah, sophomore year last year. He is our returning sacks leader. That's pretty crazy. 18 sacks in any season that you're playing
doesn't matter.
Means a ton of presence in the backfield, and it means that you're eating quarterbacks for breakfast
and dinner.
Yeah, and lunch and dinner, and you have them for a snack in between workouts. There's a lot to like about Army Navy Academy in terms of just, they a lot of youth last year that is now getting a lot of returned experience, but man, dare I say, like he could be a entire playoff shifter. If they finally have an offense that can compete a little bit, the defense is set. And if he's in the backfield getting his every single week, you get a sack or two every week. Those are game-changing plays.
Oh, yeah.
Also in the top 5 of our returning sack leaders from last year is Ian Maciel from Palo Verde. We have talked about Palo Verde
a lot
amount this offseason. They got rushing leaders. They got defensive leaders.
DBs. They got guys.
They got DBs. They got dudes on top of dudes with some goons and some thugs in there. So, but Treyton White is a defensive, or not, Ian Maciel, I apologize. Treyton White was one of the ones that graduated last year, but Ian, he is a defensive end that elite edge rusher, 13 sacks last season. As you know, those are the 2 of the 5 players in the top 5 that are returning from the sack totals last year. You mentioned that you were looking at both of those guys. Who are maybe some other players that you're looking at right now in this defensive front 7 return?
I think a awesome duo coming out of Helix or DN's Travis Ford, Jordan Gash. Both of those guys are returning after obviously playing on one of the best programs in the county last year. I believe they're both entering their junior year, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they're class of 24. Travis Ford is 6'4", 240. That's huge. It's gigantic. He's big. He can take on any lineman in the county. And then Gash off the edge, such a quick first step. I was watching some of his film. Such a quick first step. Gets around the tackle. Gets to the quarterback. Having both these guys returning, that experience only getting better. Front 7's going to dominate with that.
I wanted to go ahead and talk about Caden Dawson. We had him on the show earlier this week. He wants to play tight end in college, but he gets after it on the defensive end. And for University City to have success this year, he's going to have double-digit sacks again. He had 11 of them last year. Luke Hagee from Santa Fe Christian, another one that's a shameless plug that we had him on the show earlier this week. He had 10.5 sacks last year, returning again. He's committed to play to Wheaton. He's going to be another big one for SFC because they're going to take a little bit to find the offensive rhythm. I think they graduated a ton of their offense, and they're going to need that defensive front 7 to maybe step up and fill some roles early in the year that, give that offense a little bit. It's no secret that defenses mesh quicker and are a little bit more successful than offenses.
That's the case for a lot of teams across the county.
Oh, that's just football. Yeah.
Yeah, it can take a few weeks to get going. It's not crazy to go to learn a new playbook, new guys and new positions. It could be a lot to learn. A lot of the times, the first 4 weeks of the year are won by defense just already being meshed well together.
So Hagee, another one to watch. Hassan Nordine from Patrick Henry. He is a returner from last year's CIF championship team. He is the last guy on the list of players from the section last year who had double-digit sacks. He is also one of the few linebackers that we have in terms of this, at least returners with double-digit sacks. It was a ton of the defensive linemen. So Hassan got that quickness, got that speed, got that ability to identify the gaps and shoot them and get in there into the backfield. Patrick Henry loses some pieces from last year's championship team, but I'll always take a flyer on anybody coming back from a championship year when you've got guys going out there who, even if they're second string guys last year, they were in the championship culture. Basically, their biggest loss was my boo, their head coach, JT O'Sullivan. But the rest of that team's, they're bringing back some dudes. Hassan looking like he's going to be anchoring that defense, at least up front. I've got him slated for a huge year. Colton, I'm hogging the mic. Who are some players for you?
The guy I love is Tyrone Washington at Hilltop. I remember him coming in year. This kid was already like 6'2", over 200 pounds this freshman year. He's gigantic. You had him in the studio. You know how big he is. He has that deep voice. He's just a silent killer, honestly. He really athletic for his size. Plays running back, plays defensive end, but anyone that gets in his way, he can move them with just a swift of his. So strong, so athletic. Someone at a Hilltop that's going to have to do a lot for that defense, but he's someone that can do a lot for that defense.
Keep going. I hogged it for a little bit. Anybody else you got?
Another guy. Oh, I have a sophomore, a guy going into a sophomore year. Avery Morris out of Morris. He's already 6 foot as a freshman. Morris produces athletes. They're so good at that. Avery Morris can enter his sophomore year. Already has varsity experience as a freshman. That's so big for a player's development. Something you love to see. So that's a guy to watch as he's still growing crazy as a player. He's so young, but it's someone that we could watch a couple years from now. We'll talk about him as one of the best defensive ends in the county.
Switching from sacks over to tackles, it can be, we talk a lot about defense being really hard sometimes to quantify. The defense, the number of defensive backs that hit us up saying thank you for appreciating dropped or barely missed interceptions as a stat. The defensive one, it can also be tough because sometimes, like, if you just play on the side of the ball where the majority of offenses are running it, you get more chances for tackles, you get more chances for sacks. If you've got a schedule where, you're playing run heavy teams, you're probably not going to get a bunch of sacks. If you're playing pass heavy teams, there's some nuances to this, but I do like, at least in the front 7, in those linebackers and defensive linemen, we tend to get pretty solid, quantifiable, like, these guys had a dozen sacks. There's no doubting that. There's no like, oh, like he just got lucky a couple of times. Like you got to be the kind of dude who can step up into the gap. And when you get 80 or 100 type tackles, that's huge. That's quantifiable, valuable,
especially at the linebacker position. It's what they're supposed to do. It's what linebackers do. They fill the holes. They get catches in the middle of the field. That's what they do. They get tackles.
So let's talk tackles then. Looking at the returners, top 10 from last year's tackles totals in the San Diego section. Here are all the non-graduated players. Furman Velarde from Hopeville is someone that I want to get a shout out to. He's going into his junior year. He had 130 tackles last season, which I mean, Colton, did you play? You played a little defense. You played a little teeny bit of defense.
Yeah, I played some defense. Yeah, it's
how many years at your best year? How many years would it have taken to get 130 tackles?
Probably 12 plus.
We'd still be trying.
It's so many. What is that averaged out per game? Because what they played 12 games,
13 games, 13 tackles a game.
That's ridiculous. 13 tackles a game. That's insane. He has a nose for the ball. He's always near the ball.
Well, and the interesting thing there, you mentioned nose for the ball. Some of this flips a lot. Solo tackles versus assisted tackles. 93 of his 130 last year for Furman were assisted tackles. So just knows how to be that, like you said, just like that dude near the ball. If the other guy's tackling, let's go assist.
Cleanup crew.
Just get a hand in on it.
That's the best way to prevent broken tackles on defense too, is having multiple guys there. Yeah, you solo tackles, but you got multiple dudes getting there.
Let's start that as an award. A weekly award is Colton's cleanup crew. Colton's cleanup crew can be awarded to the defensive player that's not like the all-star every week, but just the dude that helped the team not lose. Like just a dude that plugged enough gaps with sticking arms and legs in places to just slow down running backs enough to buy a little bit of time. Going down that list, right behind Furman is Micah Vanta, listed as outside and middle linebacker. So probably at Mira Mesa, they're running some different schemes that get him different looks. 123 tackles for Micah last year as a junior, coming back for his senior year. Mira Mesa, they've been since Chris Thompson took over, and we miss him and the community misses him. But I'll say since he took over and then his staff filled in for him after his passing, they've been on the up. They've been on the rise, and a lot of that has been signature hard-fought defensive games. So Micah Vanta, can I go out and say I think he'll be the tackle leader in San Diego this year? I've got my fingers crossed. I don't know. Like he's
to say that.
He's going to get a ton of excitement. Hassan Nordine, right actually behind him at 119 last year. We already talked about him on the defensive side with the sacks that he picked up. Xavier Gonzalez Pinyon is a Palo Verde outside linebacker that he's going to have another huge year. All these guys, 100+ tackles. This is
look at the amount of juniors that had 100 tackles. It's insane. Like producing at such a young age. It's so awesome to see.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely crazy when you think about the depth of the talent returning on this defensive side as a county. Actually, another player that I wanted to get around to is going to be Caden Dawson's kind of duo on the defensive side at University City, and that's Jack Stahl. Stahl, as a sophomore last year, broke the 100 tackle mark with 109, but he had more than half of them as solo tackles. So at that middle linebacker spot, he was everywhere that University.
First guy there.
Yep, first guy there, making a clean stop. So Jack Stahl, I mean, I don't want to he can't be a breakout player at this point because people already know who he is, but he's going to be good. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch too.
6 sacks to go along with that as well. So he's doing all aspects of the game in that front seven.
Jacob Crane, I'm going outside the top 10, but these are all guys that had over 100 tackles last year in the San Diego section in our defensive front seven. Jacob Crane is another one from San Marcos. He had 100. Ooh, I lost him for a second there.
105.
105 last year for him. Oh, yeah, no, I reset that to sacks. Apologize for clicking a little too quickly on some of that. Safety outside linebacker for San Marcos. you know, San Marcos plays a heavy enough schedule that they are always going to need a dude to get a bunch of tackles. And so you got to look for him. Chase Lowry from Point Loma.
I think the most interesting thing about Lowry is that he had 104 tackles, and it's pretty much 50-50. He had 51 assisted, 53 solo. So he's doing both. He's getting there first, but he's also helping his teammates out. He's cleaning up after them. I love seeing the 50-50 like that. I think that's really cool.
Do you count as cleanup crew if you get 50-50, or do you have to be under 50% as solo tackles to be a member of the
50-50? Yes.
You'll allow it at the 50-50? All right.
We'll let that go.
Hey, it's your cleanup crew, not mine. Look, there's a lot of defensive players that we can talk about. This is us, like I said, shotgunning through a little tasting menu. These are just some dudes. These are by no means our list of like the only defensive front seven players that you want to watch. This is just who we're already excited about. Colton, anybody that we missed that you had on your list?
One more guy is the big defensive tackle out of San Diego High School, Deontay Gray. Kid is huge. Watching some one-on-one videos, simply can throw large O-linemen to the side. It's insane. Such a strong, pure guy. D tackles are the O-linemen of the defense. They're plugging guys up in the middle, letting the edge come out. They're filling holes, letting linebackers come in untouched. Having a good D tackle can really open up so much for your defense. It's not talked about enough what a large D tackle can do. And a guy like that, where he can throw interior O-lineman to the side with ease, it's really effective for San Diego to have that.
The Cavers, another shameless plug. We had them in studio. Come check them out on our interviews. You can have all the links to that on our YouTube, San Diego Prep Insider. He is at Pro Colton Toll. I'm at Mr. CPED. The show is SD Prep Insider. We will have one more of these videos. We got to do tight ends still, saving the best for last, saving someone for last. Someone had to be the last position to go, but like we said at the beginning of this, we're less than 2 weeks now from football starting. So we will be back with more specific actual division previews, maybe talk about some early week 1 games that we're interested. Be a lot of fun this season, folks. Be sure to stick tuned with us. Thank you very much for checking in. We'll talk to you guys soon.